everyone. Good morning and welcome to the overview. My name is Ivana Radivojevic. I'll be giving our presentation. Before we begin, I would just like to quickly check everything is working for everyone. If you could please here, yes, everything is working. Or you can click on with the to be able to see that as well. If you'd like to share where you're, or if you've already used the scripted, just to make sure that everything is working before we begin. See that we had a few people already. Wait a few minutes for anyone. You could please just to raise your hand, clicking on So if everyone can hear me correctly, if you can see my screen, please let me know before we begin. See today is an overview of ATLAS.ti for Windows. And what we'll do in this presentation is that I will speak for 45 minutes, and meanwhile everyone is muted, just to avoid any background. And then at the end of the presentation, for any questions.
Hello and good morning, and welcome to this overview of ATLAS.ti 8 for Windows. My name is Ivana, and I'll be giving the presentation today. But before we begin, I would just like to check that everything is working correctly, that everyone can hear me okay, and that they can see my screen. So if you could please just write in the chat box that we have here, or you can click on the button with the hand symbol on it to show that yes, everything is working, and we can go ahead and begin with the presentation. Okay, hi, I see Ella has raised her hand. Okay, so great. If everyone then can see the screen and we're all connected, we can go ahead and begin with the presentation. So what we will see today is an introduction to ATLAS.ti 8 for Windows. And I'll speak for some 45 minutes or so, and meanwhile I'll have everyone else's microphones muted just to avoid any background noises. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll have some time for questions and answers. So in this video, we will introduce the new generation of the software. And afterwards, if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can write us by sending an email to clients@atlas.ti.com, or you can contact me personally by writing to ivana.radivojevic@atlas.ti.com. You can also give us a call by dialing any of these phone numbers. These are just some of the phone numbers, but if you look on our website, you can also find a great deal more from your own country. And if you have any queries regarding anything related to ATLAS.ti, please don't doubt in contacting us, as we'll always be happy to help. And after this presentation, if you're interested in purchasing a license for ATLAS.ti, please feel free to contact me, and I'll be happy to provide you with a 10% discount. So what is ATLAS.ti? This is a qualitative data analysis software that facilitates the analysis of unstructured and semi-structured data. ATLAS.ti can help us identify themes, patterns, and meanings in the information we are analyzing. And of course, we can use ATLAS.ti to analyze a variety of sources of information, including text, graphic, audio, video, geodata, and social media data. All of these can be imported into ATLAS.ti for a complete and integrated analysis. And where does ATLAS.ti come from? Well, the first version was developed in the Technical University of Berlin in 1989. And indeed, our headquarters is in Berlin, but today we also count on offices and users all around the world. So ATLAS.ti has been on the market for well over 20 years now. And today we have ATLAS.ti for Windows and Mac. With the new generation of ATLAS.ti, projects can be seamlessly transferred between both operating systems. In addition to this, we also offer a free ATLAS.ti app for Android and iPad tablets. So if you like to work on the go, you can download the ATLAS.ti app for free from our website and work on your project from your tablet. When purchasing an ATLAS.ti license, it will always be a one-time purchase, and you will receive the full software with no hidden costs or limitations, and all subsequent updates are included for free. We offer a variety of pricing packages, such as perpetual, individual, and group licenses. For students, we offer a special package that comes at a significantly reduced cost, and these can be purchased for a period of 6 months or 2 years. If you want to purchase 5 or more licenses at a time, you also have the option to lease the licenses. So you would only pay by year for however long you wish to use ATLAS.ti. Finally, we also offer a free trial version, which has absolutely no time limit. The only limitation is in the size of the project that can be created, but it provides an excellent way to begin familiarizing yourself with the software. You can find more information on these different pricing packages and download the perpetual free trial version from our website. In addition to this, we also offer a variety of learning resources. If you and your group of colleagues, researchers, or students would like to receive a free personalized presentation on ATLAS.ti, you can request a free on-demand group webinar from our website, and we will be happy to provide this service for you. We also offer a variety of premium trainings in both online and face-to-face formats. And of course, you can also count on our video tutorials, full manual, and quick guide to learn more about using ATLAS.ti. We are continuously releasing new video tutorials that cover the different specific features of ATLAS.ti, and they are an excellent way to revise any particular facet of the software. You can access our different learning resources from our website, and if you have any questions about any of these, please don't hesitate to contact us. And this brings me to our support services. With ATLAS.ti, you can always count on our free perpetual support. We are always happy to provide our assistance with anything regarding ATLAS.ti, and you can reach us by giving us a call or writing us an email. Now, I would like to take a look at this image. This is surely a familiar picture for anyone who has analyzed any text manually. You go reading the text, underlining the interesting or important pieces of information, making notes in the margin area, and perhaps also draw connections across your different ideas. And while this is a wonderful process in and of itself, as we can see here, it can quickly become quite a mess. And this is exactly where ATLAS.ti comes in. This software will facilitate the entire analysis process for you, from the very beginning of setting up a project and staying organized, to carrying out the analysis and keeping track of each step, recuperating any specific facet quickly and easily, and of course, ultimately generating rigorous results. And although ATLAS.ti is a computer software, it is designed with this paper and pen style of working in mind, and it will always leave the full power of the analysis in your hands. So what we will see is that ATLAS.ti is a powerful tool that is easy to use and easy to learn, so that you will spend less time learning how to use the software and more time working on your project. Moreover, ATLAS.ti will always keep you close to the data, and the new generation of the software has an interface that is more flexible and easier to use than ever before, which means that you can adjust it to your needs whilst maintaining a fluid communication throughout all the different parts of your project, so that you can reveal the meanings and relationships across all the information and data. In other words, ATLAS.ti is the ideal software for those who want to see the bigger picture while still taking into account the finer details of the project. And with that, now let's take a look at ATLAS.ti 8 for Windows. So when we open ATLAS.ti, we first see this main window that provides a variety of options for opening a project. You can create a brand new project, import an already existing project, import a mobile project from your tablet to continue working on it from the computer, or you can import a project from an older version of ATLAS.ti. So if you've already been working with ATLAS.ti, you can rest assured that you won't lose any of your work when upgrading to ATLAS.ti. Down below and to the left, ATLAS.ti provides a list of the projects that have been previously opened on your computer so that you can easily access them. Today, we will show a sample project that has already been worked on, and you can download this project from our website if you would like to use it to practice using ATLAS.ti. In this sample project, we are investigating the effects of having children on parents' happiness. So I'm going to go ahead and open this project, and now we can see the main interface of ATLAS.ti. When you open it, you can see that the main window provides a variety of options for opening a project. For adding any new documents and any new objects in your ATLAS.ti project. In the center and along the top, you will see the name of your project. You'll also find the Save and Undo buttons in the right-hand corner. In ATLAS.ti 8, you can undo up to 100 steps in your work, so you don't need to worry about messing anything up or breaking any part of the software because you can always simply click on Undo. Right below this, you have the main ribbon, which organizes the software's features into a series of tabs. The new version of ATLAS.ti is function-oriented, which means that it is now easier than ever to find, understand, and use commands efficiently and directly, with a minimum number of clicks, less need to resort to trial and error, and without having to refer to help. This new design of ATLAS.ti increases discoverability of features and functions, and it will help you learn more quickly about the software as a whole, as it will keep you in control of everything. And the ribbon is composed of these different tab groups, which are a labeled set of closely related commands. So under the Home tab, you'll find all of the main features regarding your work with the project as a whole. Under the Search Project tab, you can search for any specific term within any part of your project. In the Analyze tab, you'll find the variety of advanced analysis tools that ATLAS.ti offers. And the Import-Export tab provides a variety of options for importing different kinds of data. On the left-hand side, you'll find the Project Navigator, from which you can explore and directly access any part of your project. By clicking on the drop-down arrow, you can visualize the full list. You have your documents, which refers to any source of information that you import into ATLAS.ti for analysis. For example, you may have images, video or audio files, and articles. You have the document in the main working window, and along the right-hand side is the margin area. And this shows all of the work that is done on any of these documents. So if we take a look at a document that we already have worked on, here's another article, we can see all of the quotations that have been created here. This vertical bar refers to any quotation or a segment of the information that we have saved. And then along the right, you can see any codes that are associated to this quotation. A code is simply a word or a short phrase that captures something you're seeing in the information. Or it can be a tag that you want to put on a quotation. So in a nutshell, analysis is carried out in ATLAS.ti by creating quotations and associating codes to these quotations. Going back to our Navigator panel, you can also see your full list of memos. A memo is simply a notebook, a blank space in which you can write anything that you would like. For example, you may use a memo to write a response to your research question, and you can collect all of the data that answers your question by associating them directly to this memo. Therefore, you can use these notebooks to gather your thoughts and any important information from your project so you can keep track of your progress and develop your analysis. With ATLAS.ti, you can also gather and visualize any part of your project by creating a network. Here we can see our full list of networks. This feature provides a very flexible and attractive way to present your findings, create a conceptual map, or to analyze your information visually and develop an understanding of the overall picture by exploring the connections across all the different parts of your project. Any entities can be linked, and as you work on your project, ATLAS.ti will save any associations or relations you go creating so that you can continue to explore these in a network. You can see your codes, quotations, memos, documents, groups, and additional information specific to each of these. Any network can be exported as an image file, and this can then be included in your final report or presentation as a powerful way to convey your work. And so, as you may have noticed while I've been presenting all these different parts of ATLAS.ti, whenever you open anything, ATLAS.ti will open it in a new tab in the main working space. So you can switch through the different things you can open very easily, and you can also personalize the interface so that you may work more comfortably. If you want to visualize multiple screens at a time, all you have to do is click on the drop-down arrow in the tab and select New Tab Group, and then you indicate where you want this to be moved. Now you can see the different documents, networks, memos, or any other window and continue working on each part of the project. You can also choose whether you want to have a window docked in the main screen as they are now, or floating as a separate window. And now you can move this around as you wish. Thus, any window or margin can be adjusted to suit your own preferences. Now, to begin the analysis, well, the first thing you'll have to do is add documents to ATLAS.ti. This is done under the Home tab by clicking on Add Documents and Add Files, and then you'll have this document available in ATLAS.ti. You can add a variety of types of documents here, such as text, images, video, and audio files. And you can likewise add geodata here if you're interested in analyzing maps or geographic locations as well. To import a new geo document, you simply click here and select New Geo Document. ATLAS.ti will then open a map of the world from which you can either manually zoom in to the location in which you're interested, or you can simply search for a location by typing it in here. For example, I can easily find the headquarters of ATLAS.ti in Berlin by searching for it here. And then I have these different options, and I can see here our headquarters. So ATLAS.ti has this location marker. And if I want to save this as a quotation, I can simply click up here in the main ribbon, Create Free Quotation, and ATLAS.ti has now created a quotation without anything else associated to it. But if I want to add a code, I can of course right-click on this quotation and then select Open Coding to add a new code. And I'll type ATLAS.ti headquarters. You can even carry out more general geographic searches. For example, I can also just look for restaurants in Berlin. And ATLAS.ti will show you where all the restaurants are. And by zooming in and out, you can visualize as much or as little detail as you'd like. And you'll always have this geo document saved in your full list of documents. To analyze any type of text document, well, what do? We go about reading this document. I have this article imported here. And whenever you find a piece of information that you want to capture in the quotation, all you have to do is highlight that segment of the text. And then you can either use the buttons up here in the main ribbon, or you can just right-click on the quotation. To directly add a code, you can simply select Enter Code Names, and then you can enter as many codes as you would like. So for example, here I can see that the quotation is talking about happiness and friends and family. And then when you click Enter, you'll see that this quotation has been created along with the codes associated to it. You can create as many quotations and codes as you would like in ATLAS.ti. And in any moment, you can easily resize the quotations as well. You simply click and drag along the edges. So this can be, and what you can also have a variety of coding options in ATLAS.ti. So you can also capture quotations without associating any codes, as we saw before as well, by creating a free quotation. And you can also use in vivo coding. This is a great feature to capture the exact words of any text in a code. To capture the exact words of any text or a participant response, for example. So if I'm reading and then I see something that's very important to my analysis and I want to capture that in a code, I simply highlight those exact words, and then I can select Code in Vivo. And now ATLAS.ti has created a new code out of those words. So these are some of the options for coding our text in ATLAS.ti. But what I'd also like to show is how we can also use our already existing codes. So as we create any of these, ATLAS.ti will add it to our full list of codes, which we can, of course, visualize in the Navigator panel. And now, as we continue analyzing the information, I'll highlight a quotation that I want to capture. And since I've already created a code for happiness, I want to associate this again. Well, I can do so by simply dragging and dropping this code from my Navigator panel. And now we can see it here. And you can continue to associate codes in this way just by dragging and dropping. So in ATLAS.ti, you can carry out your coding in whichever way you prefer. And as well, you can find all of these options along here. Now, if you want to quickly gather a global idea of what this document is about, you can create a word cloud. ATLAS.ti will thus visually show which words are occurring most frequently, and you can quickly and easily see what the main concepts of this document are. You can also change the style of the word cloud and the threshold if you only want to see the words that appear more than 10 times. Now, here I'm looking at this word cloud, and perhaps I find an interesting concept here, such as well-being. I see that this occurs 39 times in this article. Well, what I can do now is go back to my article and to explore where this is occurring and in what way is the author talking about well-being in relation to children and happiness. Well, what I can do in order to find out where this author is talking about well-being, I can take advantage of auto-coding. With auto-coding, you can specify an exact term you want ATLAS.ti to search for. So I'm going to go ahead and type well-being. You can specify what size of quotation you want ATLAS.ti to automatically create and which code you want ATLAS.ti to associate to these quotations. I'll go ahead and create a new code of well-being. You can either manually confirm each match that is found, so to decide whether or not you want ATLAS.ti to code that segment, or you can simply have ATLAS.ti go ahead and quote and code each part of the document in which this word appears. Now you'll see that ATLAS.ti has created a series of new quotations and it's already associated these codes. And now what we've essentially done is we've identified all of the segments of information where the author's talking about this concept, and then you can continue to go back to them and explore it in more depth and add your own codes as well. But auto-coding provides a great way to quickly and easily go through large sets of data to identify whatever concept you're interested in. So now we've seen a bit on working with text documents. What I'd like to take a look at now is analyzing a video. When it comes to analyzing a video or audio file, you can play the file directly in ATLAS.ti. You have the options here. You can also adjust the volume and the playback rate. So if you want to transcribe your video or audio, you can do so in ATLAS.ti by adjusting the playback rate and then writing your transcription in one of the memos.
When it comes to natural parenting,
now, to create a quotation in a video or audio, you simply select the segment of the video that you want to capture by dragging and dropping here on the right-hand side. Then once again, you have the exact same procedure that we saw before to capture this quotation and associate any codes to it. And for audio files, you would follow the exact same procedure, just that you won't have an image playing here in the center. And so you can continue to create as many quotations as you would like just by dragging and dropping. And you can, of course, also drag codes from your full list. If you want to revise the quotation, you can simply press play here, and ATLAS.ti will play that exact segment of the video. Now, if you would also like to analyze this video in even more detail, you can create a snapshot of what is currently on the screen. ATLAS.ti will automatically create a new image document from this snapshot, and then you can continue to analyze the visual features of this video. So what we have here now is this snapshot, and we have an image. And so when coding an image, you'll follow the exact same process of before, only in this case, you select the size of the quotation by dragging and dropping to create a rectangle. And you can resize this to capture the exact part of the image that you're interested in. And then to capture the quotation, we have the same steps as before. In addition to associating codes to quotations, you can also associate memos. So we saw some examples of memos before, and to create a new memo, you click on New Entities under the Home tab and select New Memo. You enter the name of your memo, and then you'll see this blank space in which you can use it to describe what you're seeing, note down any ideas, questions, or doubts that arise during your work, or you can elaborate your reflections and analyses, and in this way already capture what you're finding in your data. And so as we saw before, you can always visualize all of your memos from the navigator panel here. And then when you're working on any document, you can associate the memo by simply dragging and dropping it. And now you'll see the memo here. And then by double-clicking on it, you can open again and continue writing in it. So the memos are a great way to develop our analyses. And if you remember, you can visualize more than one screen side by side. And so you can be analyzing your information while also writing down very easily in the memo what you're finding. And so with a good use of memos, you'll even find that when it comes to writing up your final reports, that the majority of your work will come from these memos. So with this now, we've seen a bit how we can work with the different documents in ATLAS.ti. I'm going to go ahead and close all these tabs now. And to revise any of your work, you can use the different managers in ATLAS.ti. So each entity has its own manager, which you can find here under the Home tab. When you open the Quotation Manager, for example, ATLAS.ti will open a new window with all of the information regarding your quotations. I'm going to go ahead and dock this in the main screen. And so in the center, you'll see the full list of your quotations. By clicking on any of them, you can see the preview of the quotation at the bottom. And you can also see and edit the comments of this quotation. So any entity in ATLAS.ti can be commented on. They all have a comment space, which you can use to provide any further contextual information. So for a quotation, perhaps you'd like to say exactly where it came from, such as the author, year, and page number. And then ATLAS.ti will save this. And whenever you select this entity again, you'll see that comment there. You can also change the names of the quotations from the manager. So in the case of the video quotation, for example, which will be here at the bottom of our list, perhaps you may want to change the name so that it's clear what this quotation is referring to. By scrolling to the right, you'll find additional information on each quotation, such as which document it comes from, how many codes it has associated to it, who created and edited this quotation, when it was created or modified, and where exactly it begins and ends. The manager, therefore, provides useful information for keeping track of each step of your work. And if you work in teams, ATLAS.ti will always keep track of exactly who did what and when. Along the left-hand side, you'll see the full list of your codes. And if you click on any of these, ATLAS.ti will show you all of the quotations that have been associated to this code. And if you double-click on any of these quotations, ATLAS.ti will show you it back in its full context of the document. So you'll always be able to quickly and easily revisit any of the quotations, and ATLAS.ti maintains a coherent communication across each part of the project so that you never lose the context of any piece of information. So in ATLAS.ti, each of the managers has the exact same interface. So if you know how to use one, you'll know how to use all of them. For example, let's take a look at the document manager now. From here, you can further organize your documents as well. And as we saw before, you have the full list of documents in the middle, additional information along the side, a preview along the bottom, and the comment space. When it comes to commenting on documents, we always like to recommend to write the full reference of the document so that you know exactly where this one came from. And in this way, you can easily keep track. You can also group your documents. So in this case, you can create your own groups to organize the documents so that you can further analyze them and organize it, and perhaps to compare and contrast the different types of documents. So for example, I can see documents that are comments of readers or documents that are research reports. And you can group them according to whatever variables you would like. To create a new document group, all you have to do is select the documents that you want to group and then drag and drop onto the left-hand side. And now we have this group here. You can easily add any documents to a group by dragging them onto that group name. So now you can easily filter your documents by using these groups. And as I also have some participant data imported here from a survey, you can also see that each participant is imported as an individual document. But since I used ATLAS.ti, it automatically organized these participants into groups for me. So just by clicking on any of these, I can easily see that this participant is a male with a high school education who has children, and he has one child. And so you can easily see some of the main demographic information by using the document groups like this. So if you ever want to export all of the information of your project documents, you can create a report. You'll find this button in each of the managers, and you'll always be able to indicate exactly what kind of information you want to be included in the report by selecting the different options there. So for example, I'll select these documents that I want to create a report for. And you'll find that you can show the type of content, the dates and users, any comments, what groups this document belongs to, and perhaps what codes were used in it. And then by clicking Create Report, ATLAS.ti will now generate a separate document containing all of this information. And so I can see each of my articles, how many quotations it has, who's worked on it, And since I put the full reference in the comment space, I can see them here. So you can use reports to collect as much information as you would like, and then you can save this as a separate Word or PDF file and have this available on your computer for whenever you need it. So that when it comes to writing your final report, you can even just refer to these reports that you've created from ATLAS.ti, and you don't have to go back into the full project and reread all of the articles because you'll have all of these reports created. And this is one of the ways in which ATLAS.ti is a great time saver because it'll quickly and easily recuperate any information that you want. And so finally, let's take a look at the Codes Manager. So from here, you can organize your full list of codes by renaming them, perhaps to include prefixes so that they're organized in alphabetical order and grouped together. You can write a comment on any of the codes, and you can use this comment to describe exactly what this code is referring to include its operational definition. And then you can, of course, as well, group the codes so that you can organize them into overarching concepts or variables. And as you may have noticed, you can also associate colors to each code. And you do that by simply selecting the code and then changing the color up here. You can also see how many quotations are associated to each code, along with how many links this code has to other codes. And then, of course, which groups it belongs to and who's worked on each of these codes. You can also further explore the contents of any code by creating a word cloud of it. So you can select a code that you're interested in, and then by clicking on the word cloud feature, what ATLAS.ti is doing in this case is that it has calculated the frequency of the words of all the quotations that are associated to this code. So with this, you can quickly get a global idea of what this code is about or what other concepts are frequently appearing in relation to this code. And of course, any of the word clouds can be saved and exported as a separate file if you would like to also include this in your final report or presentation. So to view any of the quotations associated to a code, you can simply double-click on the code and then visit any of the quotations in their full context by double-clicking on them. But as well, you can create a report. So just as we saw before, you have the report button up here. And once again, you can indicate how much detail you would like to be included in the report. So for example, I want the quotations along with their full content. And now I can see the code and all of the quotations that have been associated to this code. And I can see which document they come from and where exactly they're appearing. So with this, you can quickly and easily recuperate all of this information. And so you can use the codes to keep track of everything. And then with just a click of a button, bring up all of the information or data that you found related to this concept. And then elaborate your own report or findings on this. So now we've shown you how you can work with text documents, images, videos, and geodata. With ATLAS.ti 8, though, you can also import a variety of other types of data. So if we go under the Import-Export tab, we'll see here we have some more options for importing data to our project. So if you want to analyze social media data, ATLAS.ti can help you with this as well. When you click on Import Twitter under the Analyze tab here, ATLAS.ti will open a new window from which you can directly access tweets by telling ATLAS.ti to search for any hashtag of your interest. So I'll go ahead and write children. You can indicate what kinds of tweets you want, what information you want to be included, and what kinds of codes or links you want ATLAS.ti to automatically create. So I'll go ahead and import these tweets. And ATLAS.ti will create one document with all of the tweets imported here. So you'll see that each of these tweets has already been quoted and coded with the hashtag and the information as well that we've indicated. And all of these have been converted into new codes. And so now you can go through reading each tweet and developing your analysis. And if you take a look at the code manager, I'll go ahead and minimize these for now. And we can open the code manager, and we'll see that ATLAS.ti also automatically created new code groups to organize all of the Twitter information that we just imported. So that's how we can work with Twitter data. Now, if you're analyzing articles, perhaps for your literature review or as a part of your project, you can import your articles from a bibliographic manager software. So if you use any reference manager software, you can directly import these into ATLAS.ti to analyze them in more depth. So if you use EndNote, Mendeley, Zotero, or Reference Manager, you can import them here by simply saving your articles from that manager as an EndNote XML file. And then you just select the file here. I'll go ahead and navigate to where I have it saved. And then you can indicate how you would like ATLAS.ti to automatically organize the information. So it can create groups according to year, periodical, issue, and so on. ATLAS.ti can also automatically include the name of the first author and publishing year and the title of each document. So it'll make it easier for you to know the citation of each article. So we click on Import, and these documents have now been added to the project. And we can see them here in our full list. And as well, if we open the document manager again, we'll see that ATLAS.ti has again created some new document groups here to organize these articles. So you can see them according to what's been imported, and as well what periodical they're coming from, what year they were published in, and so on. And then from here, you can simply open any of these documents and continue to analyze them in ATLAS.ti. And so finally, you can also import survey data. So as I already showed in this project, we've imported some survey responses. And all you have to do is prepare your participant responses in an Excel file, and then you import that file into ATLAS.ti, and it'll automatically organize the data according to how you've indicated in the column headers of this Excel spreadsheet. So as we saw, each participant is imported as an individual document, and they're also automatically organized into groups according to our Excel file. And if you open any of these participant responses, you can see their full response to the open-ended questions that we had in our survey. And along the side, ATLAS.ti has automatically created a quotation and added the code of this survey question. And so we can see the two different survey questions. So you can see that by using ATLAS.ti for analyzing survey responses as well, it can be a great time saver because it'll automatically organize your participants according to demographics or any other variable you're interested in. And then you can easily filter the responses or compare and contrast. And it'll also automatically create quotations and associate the codes to also help you get going in your analysis. And so ATLAS.ti is a powerful tool for helping us to organize and filter all of our data, whether we just want to analyze 3 articles or 300 survey responses. And you can even explore all of your data by using all the different tools. So for example, if I select all my participant responses and create a word cloud, I can get an overview of which concepts are occurring most frequently from my participants' words. What are they talking most about in their responses? And finally, you can gather, summarize, and present all of your work in a network. So you can create a new network by selecting it under New Entities in the Home tab, and you enter the name. And then you simply drag and drop whatever entity you want to have in the network from your project navigator. So for example, what I'll do here is take a look at my information on sources of happiness. And so I can just drag and drop these codes into the network, and we'll see them appear here. And so in this way, you can add memos, documents, or entire groups of any of these entities, and then organize it however you'd like in the network. So what you can do now is create links of these different objects. And to do so, you'll see that whenever you click on any of the entities, this little red circle appears. And by simply dragging and dropping, you can indicate where you want this to be linked. And then you can show what relation this is. ATLAS.ti provides some relation names by default, but you can, of course, edit these by right-clicking on it and changing it, or create a new relation from the relation manager here. So you can create any kind of relation you'd like, and you can also change the size or color of the lines and anything else you may like to edit. Now I'd like to go ahead and link all of these. So I'll go ahead and do them all at the same time and say is A. So now what we can see here, I have my overarching concept of sources of happiness, but then I have all of my sub-concepts of the different kinds of sources. So I'm showing these in this very simple concept map that I've now elaborated in ATLAS.ti. And with ATLAS.ti 8, it also offers a variety of automatic layout options that you can explore up here. So you can, of course, manually organize it, or you can take advantage of the options up here. So with a network, you can go about linking the different concepts and create a network that describes or summarizes your findings. Under the View tab, you can visualize different kinds of information as well by selecting these options here. You can see the full comments of your codes. So in this case, as I've written in my codes their definition, I can now see that here. You can also see the frequencies of each code. So to see how many quotations are associated to each code, as well as how many links this code has with other codes. And of course, you can also import the actual data from the codes, so the actual quotations that have been associated to them. So for example, by right-clicking on any of the codes, you can see the option to import neighbors. And then you can import whatever kinds of neighbors you'd like, any codes that are associated, memos, quotations, or groups. And when I import these associated quotations, we can see them here. And by selecting Preview, you can see the full quotation. Whether it's an image file, you can revisit a video by double-clicking on it to see that exact quotation, and of course, the text quotations. And from here, you can continue to analyze the actual evidences that you found, the empirical data in your project. And you can see whether they're linked to any other code and continue to create these links. You can also link the different quotations. So if I read this quotation and this one, and I think, wow, that's very interesting because this author is talking about one thing, but it seems to be exactly saying the opposite of what this author is saying. Well, I can show this relation by linking them. And so you can visualize any part of the project and show the overarching patterns that are coming out throughout your analysis. And in this way, you can present the global picture of what you're finding. And of course, you can export this this network as an image file and then include it in your final report or your presentation. And besides creating a brand new network, you can also open a network directly from the Navigator panel. So if you click on any of the objects and then open it in a network editor, ATLAS.ti will show it there, and you can continue to import any neighbors. And so in this way, continue to explore any part of your project in a visual way. And you can create as many networks as you would like, whether it's for your own use to continue analyzing visually, or to create a concept map or to summarize your overall findings. And so finally, let's take a look at how we can interrogate our data to use the advanced analysis tools that we have. So under the Analyze tab, you can see here the different options you have. For example, you can examine where exactly your codes are appearing in your project by using the code document table. This tool shows the frequency of codes that are associated in each document. All you have to do is select the codes or code groups that you're interested in, and then select the document or document groups that you want to analyze. So for example, I'm going to see how many times codes that are related to the positive or negative effects of parenting are appearing in each of the articles. And now you can see here exactly how many times codes from these groups are appearing in each article. And then you can get a global overview and compare and contrast what you're finding. So if you also have organized it into document groups, you can even compare your participant responses if you want to compare men and women, or those who have children and those who don't. And you can see, wow, well, this is very curious. It seems that those who don't have children talk more about the negative effects of parenting than the positive effects. But then if we compare that to those who do have children, they seem to have a lot more to say about the negative effects. So I wonder why this is. Perhaps this is something that you can reflect on in your analysis, your final report, or in a memo. And so you can cross-calculate whatever combination of codes and documents you would like. And then by clicking up here, you'll see that you can also export this table to an Excel file. So if you'd like to continue analyzing it quantitatively or to create a graphic, you can easily export this to Excel and then continue working on it from there. You can also analyze the emerging relations between all of your codes by using the Co-occurrence Explorer and Co-occurrence Table. What co-occurrence refers to is simply the coexistence of any two codes on the same segment of information. So you can analyze the co-occurrences and possible emerging relations between your concepts by using these tools. So when using the co-occurrence table, for example, ATLAS.ti will cross-calculate your codes to show where there may be underlying relations between these two different concepts. So for example, if I select all of the codes related to negative effects of parenting, and then all of the codes that I have related to the positive effects of parenting, what we can see here now is where any of these codes are occurring on the same piece of information. So for example, I can see here that these two codes are co-occurring twice. So in two different instances, these codes have been associated with the same piece of information. But this may seem contradictory, because if someone is talking about having children being a very fulfilling thing, but at the same time saying that it's something that's less fun in your life, well, how is this going on? Perhaps this is something that I would like to analyze in more depth to see if there's some explanation for this relation between these two concepts. You can see the quotations down here, and by double-clicking on any of them, you can, of course, revisit them in their full context. And so you can cross-calculate as many codes as you would like at a time, And then in this way, explore perhaps some unexpected connections between the different concepts that you have here. Because if there's two codes that have a high co-occurrence, there may be some underlying reason there that you could reflect on. In other words, this tool can provide a space for serendipity, for emerging patterns to come through. And of course, you can as well export this table to an Excel file and then continue working on it from there. And finally, you can interrogate your data in even more detail by using the query tool. This allows you to search for specific quotations according to whichever query or cross-calculation of codes you're interested in. So by loading any code into the main working space here, the query tool will bring up all of the quotations that have been associated to this code, and you can see them down here. So you can use the query tool to recuperate quotations from just one code or as many combinations of codes as you would like. For example, you may want to know what families with children say their reasons for having children are. So I can say families that have children, and then I'll tell ATLAS.ti to find me those, as well as what reasons for having children they have. So whether any of my participants that have children talked about having a richer life. If I click here, I can see the quotations. And so we can see here that we can create whatever combination of codes that we would like to interrogate our data in even more detail. And then along the top, we have a series of operators to create these different combinations. And by holding your mouse over any of them, ATLAS.ti will provide more information on what exactly this operator does, so that you can conduct either very simple queries or complex queries to really interrogate your data and to find the exact quotations that you're interested in to answer your research question or to find more information on your topic. And as you can see as well, you can also use the code groups here to analyze it more generally. And then you'll find all of those quotations that come up in this query down here. And as you can see with the report button up here, you can of course save this result in a separate report, just as we saw before. So with this, we have shown in this video how you can begin working with ATLAS.ti 8 to add different sources of information, segment the data, and then reveal the meanings, capture your ideas and reflections, and take advantage of the variety of analysis tools to interrogate your data, and then finally to powerfully represent your work in a visually appealing network or by creating reports quickly and easily. The interface is friendly and easy to use, with help text always available in case you need to review anything. And then you have easy to access options by right-clicking on any part of the project. And as well, you don't need to worry about making any mistakes, since you can undo and redo up to 100 steps of your work. Now finally, under the Tools and Support tab, you'll find a variety of options for further support. For example, you can directly contact us to report a problem or send a suggestion. And you can also find a variety of useful links right here. So you can directly access our website, open the quick tour, contact our support team, explore our training options, visit the frequently asked questions, and connect with us on social media. So you can stay in touch with us for any news or updates regarding ATLAS.ti. And finally, by visiting our YouTube channel, you can explore the variety of video tutorials we offer to revise any specific feature of ATLAS.ti. And in any case, if you ever have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact us, because with ATLAS.ti, you can always count on our free perpetual support, and we will always be happy to help. And with that, I'll go ahead and put up One more time, our contact information, if anybody would like to take a note. And I'll conclude my part of the presentation. So now we can take some time to answer any questions. If anyone has any questions or doubts, please feel free to take advantage of our time here together by writing in the chat box that we have here, and I'll be happy to go through it. So if you have any doubts about anything regarding ATLAS.ti, or would like to review anything that we saw today, because of course today we saw a quick global overview of how to use ATLAS.ti and how you can begin integrating it into your own project. But of course, we're always happy to help if you have any specific questions or perhaps would like to ask about your own project. Okay, so I see that Natalie is asked, I was wondering if you could touch on the function of smart groups and smart codes. So of course, that's a very good question that we haven't seen today. And so what Natalie is asking about with smart groups and smart codes in ATLAS.ti, it's another way to continue analyzing your information in even more depth. And in particular, how you can take advantage of these is by using the query tool. So imagine what I'd like to do here is search for all of the quotations of families that have children and then what they say their reasons for having children are. And now I have these quotations here. So if I would like to save this result, because this is something very important, perhaps this is my main research question, what I can do is I can create a smart code, and you can see that up here. And so it'll create a code, a new code that will be associated to only these quotations. And then in that way, you'll be able to quickly and easily access these quotations. So you can use smart codes and smart groups to save exact queries. So this is a slightly more complex analysis in the sense that we're cross-calculating two different codes, and then these are the quotations that come from there. So these aren't just quotations that are families that have children, but families that have children and what their reasons for having children are. And so I can quickly and easily capture that in ATLAS.ti by creating a smart code. So that's just a brief overview about smart codes, Natalie, but you can certainly find more information on with the video tutorial or in the full manual. And of course, please feel free to contact us as well. And we can go into more detail if you have any more specific questions for your own project. I see Ina asks, what does density mean in the quotation window? Is it a number of codes per quotation? Yeah, the density in the quotation window refers to how many links this quotation has to other quotations. Because you can as well create hyperlinks. So as we saw in one of the networks, for example, you can link the quotations, and then that'll always show density. And so density is the same thing with codes, for example, where you can see how many links this code has with other codes. So Victor asks, will a recording, so just an audio file, work as well? Absolutely. An audio file will work in the exact same way as the video file that we saw, just that you won't have the image playing in the center. But you'll have the exact same interface and process for creating quotations and adding any codes. So simply without this image, but you'll have the play button. Down here you can see the full timeline, and then along the right-hand side, capture any segment. And then with ATLAS.ti, since you can quickly and easily replay that exact segment, it'll be much easier to make sure that you're capturing the right part of the audio that you want. And then you can, of course, create as many quotations as you'd like and so on. But yes, you'll have all of the same features, just without the actual visualization. And so Janita asks, is there any regulations or best way in creating codes within the software? So for example, between categories and subcategories. Okay, and then you've included an article from our website as well on making the best of codes in ATLAS.ti. So that's great that you've found some extra resources on our website for using ATLAS.ti. But when it comes to the best way to doing anything, I mean, ultimately, it's up to each user. It's up to you to decide. We always want to leave the power of everything in your hands, because with ATLAS.ti, there's no specific methodology that is preferred or that ATLAS.ti was created only for grounded methodology or anything like that. It can be applied to any project. So in this sense, there's no best way to do anything. It's really up to you. And then when it comes to how you should create code, so for example, whether you should create categories and subcategories or how to link them, some people work with different hierarchies of codes, for example. You can, of course, do all of these things in ATLAS.ti, and it's just up to how you want to organize them. So you can use groups, for example, to organize them into different categories or overarching concepts. You can add prefixes to show what kind of code it is, and then with the comment space, even describe it in more detail there. But really, it's ultimately up to you, because perhaps you may want to start by already creating subcategories and categories, or perhaps you want to start by simply creating codes for anything you see in the project, and then later you can reorganize them. All I mean to say is that there's so many ways that you can go about coding all of your information, so it's really up to you. But if you would like to talk in more detail about your own project, you can contact us and then we can see more about that to maybe give any more advice. But ultimately, it's up to whatever methodology you choose and then how you want to follow that process. So finally, just to conclude, I can quickly show where you can find more information in all of these different learning resources on atlas.ti.com. And so you can also find our blog with more articles and suggestions for how to work with ATLAS.ti. Under the Learning tab, you can explore our great variety of video tutorials, access the quick tour, manuals, and the sample project like the one we were working on today. Under Product, you can download the free trial version if you want to already have ATLAS.ti on your computer and begin working with it, as well as the free tablet versions that we mentioned before. And of course, our blog. And then finally, as always, you can contact us by sending an email or giving us a call. So I hope that you have found this presentation interesting and perhaps learned something new about ATLAS.ti and how you can apply it to your own project. And then for any other questions, please feel free to give us a call or send us an email. And as well, if you'd like to request that 10% discount coupon, we'll be happy to provide that. And well, with that, we wish you all the best of luck in your work with ATLAS.ti.